What is up, You Don't Know Ball Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I don't remember what number we were on. I think we were around 32, 33-ish. But we're riding solo today. Jack couldn't make it, and neither could Isaac. And Grayson just isn't a part of the show at the moment. So we are working with that. I hope everybody had a great Christmas season. And I hope everybody had a good Christmas day. Tell us in the comments how many people got You Don't Know Ball merch. I know 3 people did, and my dad, my grandpa, and my other grandpa. So that's all fun and super exciting for our podcast to have some fans. But not a really interesting week in sports as all the games that we've watched or blowouts, literally, from playoff games to NFL. It was all not really good football that we don't like. That we just kind of disappointing to see for sure. But now that I'm sorry, the monitors are all going weird. I don't know why, but I had to edit this out. Whatever. Yeah, so not really great games this week. As we got our first look at the new playoff format, and we started down in South Bend, where Notre Dame got a big win against Indiana, and I'm pretty sure Indiana hasn't won there since like 18 something. That's pretty embarrassing for Coach Signetti and all the shit he was talking about. And Indiana fans should be pretty embarrassed about that. But that game was a 27-17 win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And then we moved on to the Saturday slate with Penn State and SMU. Again, like we guessed it on the podcast earlier last week, is that Penn State would blow them out of the water, and it was pure because SMU had a terrible matchup with their Penn State's defense. But it was good to see for future playoff playoff brackets. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, super fun there. And now we head down into Texas where it wasn't below 30. It was 60 degrees for kickoff for there, so it was kind of a normal football game in the fall. But yeah, Texas got a big win against Clemson, a 38-24. It looked like a blowout for a lot of it, but Clemson kept fighting back. I'm glad we don't need to talk about Cade Klubnik anymore because that kid is mediocre and the team was mediocre at best. So good to see Clemson out of the playoffs. And then we moved down to Columbus, Ohio for the last game of the first round of the playoffs where Ohio State shocks everybody and destroys Tennessee. That wasn't even close from the beginning of the game, 42-17. Will Howard looked really good, really bounced back from the Michigan game. The entire team did, the coaching did, and they looked like the Ohio State team that they were supposed to be against Michigan. But yeah, overall good win there for Ohio State and their fan base, and as they move on to the next round. So for next week, for college football, we got the second round of playoffs. So in the Fiesta Bowl, we start on Tuesday on New Year's Eve with Boise State and Penn State. This game's gonna be really interesting to see because Boise State. I'm really wanting to see what Boise State's run game does against Penn State's defense. But we saw them have a really close game with Oregon, and they're also in the playoffs. So I really think Boise State's legit, and I also think Penn State's legit. But and we saw what SMU did against Penn State, and they couldn't get anything going. So let's see if we'll have to see what Boise State can do other than just handing it off to Ashton Genty. Then we move on to the New Year's Day slate, where we have our first matchup of the day with Texas and Arizona State in Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Chick-fil-A Bowl. That one's at 1 p.m. Again, run game for Arizona State is a big deal, and if they can get that established early for Texas against Texas, this should be a pretty close game. But for Texas, I think that they just got to keep that steamroll going. I mean, they only lost against Georgia twice, and they're in the playoff as well. So we'll just have to see what Texas can do, and I want to see what Kua and Ewers can muster up this week, as he had an okay game against Clemson, and I really like what they did with Arch Manning and bringing him in, getting him some snaps and mix up the look on for quarterback. But yeah, that's an interesting matchup that could go either way, and we'll see what that happens there. Then the most anticipated bowl matchup game is a rematch against Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. That one's going to be started at 5 p.m. Obviously, Oregon won earlier this season against them, but this time it's not at Oregon. It's in the Rose Bowl. And seeing what Ohio State did last week against Tennessee, I mean, they could be they had a game last week and Oregon didn't, so they could be coming off really fast and really strong. So we'll have to see what they do there for sure. But yeah, dude, it's gonna be a great game there in Pasadena. I've obviously following up that Michigan Alabama game last year, which was an absolute classic. So hopefully there's another classic game in the Rose Bowl that people are treated to on New Year's Day for that one. And then the final one of the Wednesday slate for New Year's Day is Notre Dame and Georgia. Carson Beck is not playing for this game as he has surgery, I think, last week. And Georgia has already stated that they were preparing without Beck. And the new guy, I think his name is Stockton, but that really concerns me, seeing a new guy going for Georgia. But I know he played really, really well against Texas. But we're going to have to see. I mean, Notre Dame had really dominant. They were really dominant the entire game, and then the minute 30 left in the game, they just were just teasing Indiana to do something, so they let them have an onside kick and score twice. But yeah, we'll have to see what Notre Dame does there, and they obviously have to get their offense moving like they were, and they can't have slow starts. And Jeremiah Love and Riley Leonard both know that, and I know Riley Leonard is really looking forward to playing against Georgia, as he was born and raised in Alabama, so that Southern rivalry is in that game. So it'll be interesting to see. So not a playoff game, but a game that was a playoff game for last year was Michigan and Alabama are also playing again. But they're in the ReliaQuest Bowl, and that will be also played on New Year's Eve at 12. Nobody really cares about this because both teams are mid, but at least we got this win against them last year. Yeah, I mean, there's so many players out for this game, and it's not really going to be. It's not going to be a really classic football game like it was last year, but it'll be fun. We'll see what some freshmen can do, because I think red shirts don't really matter in this bowl games ish thing, and we'll kind of get a glimpse of what we can get next year for Michigan football. And for Alabama, we're going to see what Jalen Milroe can get his get back against the Wolverines for what they did to him last year. I hope not, but we'll see. Moving on, before we do pick'ems, we're going to talk about the Christmas Day football games that were honestly a complete failure from the NFL standpoint. NBA is way better on Christmas Day, according to this year. Chiefs versus Steelers started the day off, and I really thought this was going to be a close game. against these two teams, but it wasn't. Travis Kelce finally started doing something, and Patrick Mahomes was just who Patrick Mahomes was, and they won 29-10. And I'm not really surprised about it. I was really hoping that the Steelers could knock off the Chiefs because I'm sick and tired of hearing them every week. But good win for them. And then we finished we finished with a game that I was really hoping that would be close, but absolutely was not even it wasn't even remotely close. It was the Ravens went down to Houston with Beyonce in the building and just totally pummeled the Texans as they would go on to win 31-2. The safety was a mistake by Derrick Henry, and that game was just so boring to watch that I left to go to my girlfriend's grandparents' Christmas party because wow, that was terrible. But it was fun. It was fun to see when I got back and check the score that it was 31-2, and they couldn't get anything going. The Texas punter had a heck of a day, but I'm pretty sure this is C.J. Stroud's worst loss of his entire career, so that's fun to see. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have much to say about the NFL games. Neither did I really have to say anything about playoff games because everything was a blowout, and it was really a bummer because I thought personally that the committee got that right, and they didn't. So it was just a real sucky situation. Other than that, let's move into pick'ems for a little bit. Let's go to. Let me share my screen. Screen. Starting with the playoff slate for this week is Boise State, Penn State. I'm going to roll with Boise State on this one because I think Ashton Jensen gets his get back, and he's proved that he was the real Heisman winner, and everybody should have not looked down on him because he had an amazing season, and he's going to show them why he was the rightful winner on the biggest stage. Then we moved on to Texas, Arizona State. I'm going to roll hook 'em. I think Texas is a better team than Arizona State. But I don't think this game is not going to be. I don't think this game's going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be really, really close. And we'll have to see what Quentin Ewers can do. And definitely got to see if Arizona State can dominate the line of scrimmage and get a run game going. Then I'm going to move on to Oregon, Ohio State, where this game is going to be another really, really close and flashy game as they both have really good offenses. But because of my team, I cannot pick Ohio State. So I'm going to do Oregon again. I think Oregon goes back-to-back wins against Ohio State. Shocker, I know. But, yeah, I think I think they're going to get cooked. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I think Oregon and Ohio State are going to go to overtime and just totally put a show on like they did before. And then our final playoff game, I think that Notre Dame and Georgia should be at the 5 p.m. slate because I always think the Rose Bowl should be the last game of New Year's Day because that's the most entertaining one in most recent history. So, but that doesn't really matter. So Notre Dame, Georgia. A lot of people are going for Georgia. Everybody thinks Georgia is going to just pummel Notre Dame. But this Notre Dame team is different. And I'm going to pick the Irish. And I think they have the luck on their side this year. And Riley Leonard is going to figure something out. And Jeremiah Love is going to be unstoppable against Georgia. And we're going to roll with that. And then for the biggest game that everybody was not looking forward to, Michigan, Alabama. I think Michigan comes out on top because Michigan is just, I don't know. Michigan has something, and Alabama does too. I don't really know. Nobody really cares. So we're just going to roll with Michigan. But that's all I got. Sorry, this is a pretty boring episode for people, and they were expecting Isaac on, but it's the holiday season. Everybody's busy.